तो आप वहाँ लाहौर में रिक्रूट किए गए कि यहाँ जी आप? अमीद पूरा नाम क्या? अमीद अब्दुल जी। तो कहाँ रहने वाले कहाँ?
मशहूर जगह जो है वहाँ से करनी चाहिए। अल्लाह ताला उसमें अल्लाह ताला का शुक्र अदा करना चाहिए।
How far is Brook Street from here?
I have one older brother and one older sister and one younger sister, so we are all together 4. 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
MashaAllah. Now, where's your younger sister?
She is with my Hasan is in Islamabad and Prime Minister's official residence.
How does he help? Sorry, I'm very ignorant about all of this.
He's helping in what?
No, what does he do?
Oh, right, okay. He's basically working and managing the trust, Sharif Trust, which has a hospital, a school.
How's your grandfather? Is he also under house arrest?
Well, the entire family is in under house arrest, and so as my grandfather.
In the same house?
No. My entire family is in 2 separate houses in Lahore. One is actually inside Lahore, where my father stays, and one is outskirts of Lahore, where my grandfather is, with one of my sisters and my brother Hasan live.
Hasan, what is the latest that you've heard about your parents' well-being?
Well, there is no official report which I can trust and which I can endorse, but there has been unconfirmed reports that my family is doing fine, but I personally don't want to believe that reports, and I don't even want to believe the so-called military official reports or their spokesman. This is entirely a matter of a personal family, and they should be allowed to talk to each other. And since this coup has begun, I've never spoken to my mother or my father.
What are your sources? I mean, is your mother, you must be finding out through Lahore and Pakistan. It's full of your family's friends. Surely they can give you some clue as to what is going on.
How could they give a clue when they are not able to enter my house in Lahore or to make a call to any of my family members in my Lahore house? It's absolutely chaos because army are inside the house and also surrounding the house. All the telecommunications and all the any source of communication has been cut off.
Even a cell phone?
Even a cell phone. The mobile network was jammed when the coup began.
How do you know?
Because I tried 100 times to call my mother. I tried 1,000,000 times to call my father. I was trying whole night that night.
And when did you first find out that this was happening?
That was actually late afternoon in London that day, which was day before yesterday.
How did you first find out?
Actually, I came to my residence, and one of my friends was here who heard this on CNN, and he couldn't believe. So he rang there, and there was no response. I mean, the lines were just dead, and we were very curious of what's happening. And then many people started ringing, and they were asking that we have heard this, and we hear that Prime Minister has been arrested, and all sort of horrible news you can imagine. And then slowly the news was picked up by CNN, BBC, and all other major broadcasting media, and so that's what it.
Did you ever fear that this kind of thing might happen? After all, this could happen to any man of prominence, as your father was.
Well, being in such a high-profile family and top of the politics in Pakistan, you can imagine, I mean, anything. But just sort of a sudden and undesired action, which I don't think even somebody want to think of.
Do you fear for your father's life?
Well, actually, I don't want to think on that lines, because this is absolutely that will make me horrified. You know, I pray to God that he is fine, and my only concern is to speak to him directly and to listen his views and to talk directly to my mother.
Whom have you been talking to? Who in the army has been talking to you? Have you spoken to General Musharraf?
Well, I don't want to speak to General Musharraf, and I don't want to speak to any other spokesman, and in respect, I don't want to believe them, because I have no trust on those people.
No, but have you tried? I mean, after all, you've got to have some sources of news, and it just so happens that they are the sources of news.
Well, you tell me, isn't there should be a moral responsibility of General Musharraf to make sure that the first family is intact and they are provided with unnecessary information, or at least they should be given a call that what's been happening and where is my father, where is my mother. That is their moral responsibility, which they are obviously lacking.
The coup took place when your father was in Lahore.
No, my father was in Islamabad.
But you're saying your father is now in Lahore.
He's now being moved to Lahore by army people.
Why?
That is the question which has no answer. Everybody is expecting a justification. We don't want a simple explanation. We want justification.
Why do you think would they move him from Islamabad to Lahore?
This is very difficult to answer, because I would definitely also I always wanted to know that why he was moved from Prime Minister's official residence to this so-called rest house near Islamabad airport. And now we hear that he's been moved to Lahore. It was shocking as it was to hear that he was being moved from his own official residence.
Was he driven or was he flown?
He was driven to the rest house, and now apparently he's been flown to Lahore.
Why did the army do it? Let's get into the politics of it. I mean, after all, why did the army do it? What was there?
I am not a politician, but I would definitely try to answer whatever you ask. I mean, this is entirely a personal decision of a sacked army chief. He was officially sacked by the Prime Minister, and then of course I think this is not a state of martial law in Pakistan. It is just merely a personal vendetta used against the Prime Minister by Pervez Musharraf.
But obviously the whole army is with him.
Who can actually confirm this? Because I tell you what I'm saying. We have a 5-minute address at that night by General Pervez Musharraf, merely explaining what he has done to an elected government. He says that army's speedy action, army's firm backing, and whatever he was saying. Is there any other source, an official source, who can confirm this? Anybody can confirm that he is saying truth? Anybody can confirm that whatever he is saying has some kind of backing in the army? No.
Benazir Bhutto said that she said that there's civil war situation. Do you agree?
Absolutely not, because Benazir Bhutto is, I think, as ill-informed as anybody else inside or outside Pakistan.
How much of it is because on account of Kargil, you think?
Well, I don't want to go into details because I merely know the details. But I have no idea. I mean, General Pervez Musharraf was army chief at that time when the issue of Kargil was hot. And if there was something which he thought would not be done by the Prime Minister, why was he quiet at that time? He was army chief. He was invited by the press to say anything. There was no pressure.
Why do you think?
Why?
Why? Yes.
This is very hard to answer.
Were you in Lahore when the Indian Prime Minister visited Lahore?
No, I was in London. I saw it on TV.
Was your father, you think, really keen for friendlier ties with India, but there were many interests in Pakistan who did not want it?
Well, personally, I know my father that he is a very wise and a pious man, and he is a man who can work and do anything to make peace in that region. That region has a turbulent past for last 50 years, and inviting and welcoming Prime Minister Vajpayee, I think, was a gesture, and he was opening his hands for peace.
Then who subverted it in Kargil?
That is, I think, a very technical question, which I don't think anybody except.
No, but think about it. I mean, as an observer, you're sitting in London. You think your people went behind your father's back and did Kargil?
Well, I just stick to my my answer that, you know, this is a highly technical and highly sensitive matter, and I think the best people to answer this question would be either Pervez Musharraf or my father, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif.
When did you last see your father?
I last saw him when I went to Pakistan a few days ago, actually not more than 2 weeks ago, basically. There was this funeral of my maternal grandfather in Lahore, and I went for that funeral, and I stayed there for 3 more days, and that was the last time I met my father.
When did you set yourself up in London?
That was when I came for my studies 5 years ago. I did my A-levels and then my graduation from City University, which I have just completed, and I invited my parents to attend the convocation, and they were supposed to be here in December, and exactly it's December 6th, and now, you know, God knows what's going to happen, because I was really looking forward for my family get-together, and this was one of, you know, the biggest day in my life. And now, thanks to Pervez Musharraf, that, you know, everything is being, you know, messed in Pakistan.
Would you, after doing your graduation, would you, what was your plan? What were you going to do? Are you going to get into business or politics or what?
Well, I don't think at this moment I would be thinking of getting into politics. I think this is too early. I've got my career ahead of me. I can go back and join my family business. But I was also thinking of, you know, joining a job and just gain some experience, you know, before entering into a proper practical life.
You know, lots of people from the subcontinent, they like to settle abroad in London and in New York and things. Why? You think the life at home is not exciting enough, not stimulating enough, not intellectually as lively as life here is?
Well, this is, I think, I mean, you could be right, but that is just a part of an opinion. I think it's more towards a personal and individual preference. I mean, in my case, you know, I don't have these financial problems which unfortunately common people do face in our region. And I think it would be a personal preference if I want to stay in New York or in London or in Pakistan or wherever in the world.
Will you have plenty of money?
I mean, exactly not. This is not the case that you have plenty of money so you can stay anywhere you want. It is your own thinking. It is your own way of thinking.
Okay. How old are you? Sorry.
I'm 23.
23.
Yeah.
You're not married?
No, I'm not.
Were you
married.
planning to get married?
No, I'm not planning to get married, but you know, I have my parents agreed to a family. You know, principally they've agreed, but nothing official has been done.
Where is the girl?
She's in Lahore.
She must be undergoing a lot of pressure at this point.
Definitely must be. She must be going under. I mean, all of my family would be going under enormous pressure, including my larger circle or inner circle of the family. I mean, everybody I think who has a little sympathy for Pakistan would definitely be absolutely worried.
Is your fiancée, what's her name?
Well, I don't want to take any names, or I don't want to mention, because then it would be total a disaster for her, because she's a student at this time, and I don't want to press to hound her and irritate her, or whatever you say.
Why would you prefer to stay in London and not in New York, for instance?
Well, this is again a matter of personal preference, but I was in Hasan in Lahore, which is my only school where I went to in Pakistan, and that was more a kind of they have this education system which is very similar to the system in UK. They have yearly basis system. In American system it's like a semester system, which personally I don't like, and so I think that was a best decision to make at that time to come and study in London. And also my brother was doing law at that time, so he was a big support to me at that time in London.
Doing law here?
Yeah.
Hussein.
And so now he's gone back, he's well settled in London, he's doing all the beneficiary work he can. So I mean, there you are.
Supposing, what do you think that the army might be wanting to sort of accelerate the pace of friendship with India and peace in the subcontinent?
Well, I think if they intend to do this is a very good thing.
Right. No, I was simply trying to provoke you.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is that, was it the pace of friendship with India that disturbed the army?
Well, I think I would answer this question and put a question to you, that why would it make army unhappy?
Because if peace is established with India, then the role of the army, which has ruled your country for more than 25 years, is diminished a little bit.
But I think, even though when you call it army, the people in army, what we called Jawans in the army, first of all, they are all human beings. And thinking in terms of being a human, I don't think anybody who has a little bit of a sense, that he is a human, why would he want to kill anybody just for the sake of it? And I think from
talking about killing. I mean, killing whom?
I mean, not having a friendly relation with India or any other country, and making a good way for war. That is.
Had your father remained Prime Minister of Pakistan, would the pace of friendship with India been accelerated, you think?
Well, I've mentioned what I had to, because my father, I told you, he loved to make peace with any country who wants to make peace with Pakistan. So I think my answer is very much self-explanatory, that we don't want war for the sake of it.
There seems to have been reports that there were cheering crowds in Pakistan and in Lahore and Karachi and so on. Now, do you think that there is a culture of accepting army rule in Pakistan, because it has ruled for 25 years in any case?
And on the other hand, there was no army in Pakistan for 25 years. But I will definitely answer your question again, that, you know, when you call that they were celebrating on the streets, the public. Pakistan has a multi-party system, and every party, every leader has all the right to speak, to demonstrate, and say whatever he or she wants to. So in Pakistan, along with Muslim League, which is the biggest party right now, there are several parties, and whatever their views are, if they are happy, so they are. I mean, what can you do? But at the same time, there are millions of people who are actually so much scared and horrified that they are thinking that if they would go out on the street to demonstrate against this rude action, they have a total idea that if a first family is being treated like that, what would be done to a common man if he goes out for the demonstration.
On the mantelpiece over here, you've got pictures of your father with President Reagan, with President Clinton, with the Prime Minister Major, and so there seems to be a selective collection here, just the American president and the British prime ministers.
Well, I'm sure when you walked in, you should have also looked around the walls and other few pictures which are lying on the table. I mean, they're all sort of pictures. We have got pictures with all the Arab leaders. They're just around the corner. We have pictures of the Commonwealth group, which also includes Indian Prime Minister, and particularly mentioning about, you know, the American pictures, they are just part of history, like any other pictures we have.
Okay, well, I have taken a great deal of your time. Thank you very much, Hasan.
Well, thank you very much for...
Hope that all the news about your family is good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a lovely shirt you're wearing. It's a Hackett.
Thank you. Yes, definitely he lives in London. I mean,
in this apartment?
In this apartment. It's very fun.
When did you buy this?
I mean, we have bought this apartment on rent.
Must be massive.
And if you pay individually for them, you'll be thinking of much more than that.
But I thought that you owned the building. Or the floor?
I own the building. Or the floor.
The floor.
No way. I wish I could. No, this is absolutely wrong impression.
You've got this whole building. Mercedes building, is it? Or whatever.
The Evenfield House Mercedes is just part of this building. They've got insurance.
Is that?
Well, I'm sure that you are very much in the media, so you want to...
Police are now clambering on, that's it.
Well, that was, I think, was the main focus for them to...
I don't know. In it?
In this license.
In this coup. Look, I mean, I'm talking off the record. I'm not quoting you on this.
Sure. To work with a coalition government, which is a lot less powerful than Prime Minister Sharif is.
Why would they, if they allow elections, if elections are going to be held?
I made myself very clear that, you know, this is not Chief of Army Staff, Pervez Musharraf.
Do you think that his legal position is not tenable?
Pervez Musharraf, civilian as anybody else in Pakistan. He has no right to dismiss a government. He has no right to dismiss since he is being house arrested. And I think he is not house arrested, he is being held as a hostage for them to gain power, to gain time, and to gain legitimacy. future of Pakistan, who is dictating the future of Pakistani people without any backing and without any constitutional right.
Sad.
Absolutely.
That's my friend Riyaz spoke today.
Is it?
Yes.
He's been changed now.
Has he?
Yeah, there's a new ambassador called Tariq Fatimi, who's now,
Yes.
sorry, he's in China.
He's in China.
He's in China.
Qazi is Ashraf Jahangir.
And that is the thing they always do, change all the key ambassadors. But tell me, if you're working here, do you work in Europe or?
No, we were, and well, this happened to be. We thought that we'd also pick this up as a bonus. The focus was not on Pakistan, but we learned that you were here, so we said, why not?
It's the Commonwealth picture, and this is my father, and here's your Prime Minister here, Indian Prime Minister, there's Bangladeshi Prime Minister, Sri Lankan, and all, and it's been signed by Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Scotland.
Well, he would have been planning to go to Durban, Commonwealth Summit there in November.
Exactly. That there is no official with the president, so they will definitely come to London. I'm not sure if I will be able to watch it. When will we show up around?
Sunday. I'll let you know.
But I would definitely like to have a copy because I don't think I will be going to pass on it. And if I go. Paul, what up?
It was I was very much more for the human. Your son, your father, your parents.
Locate my parents.
That you should have said, but I don't even know where they are.
That way it seems to.
Who is your brother is under house arrest in Islamabad. Can't move out.
Not at all.
Your uncle?
He is actually a
Why are you saying that?
served to one of my very close members, witnessed all this. They don't want to mention because you'll be in trouble. They told us that army people, the ranks of colonels and majors, they were very helpful. And they were saying that we hate to do this, but we are just doing it because we are ordered to do this. And so as what is happening inside my Lahore residence, people outside, the security people.
You mean to say the people at the rank of colonel and major and all are not happy with what has happened? Why? चलें?
हाँ जी चलिए.
And the people waiting, they were thinking to meet.
Oops, all right.
Yeah.
We are in
But you should also consider this as head count in political gathering is not a vote count. It's not a vote count. I would love to do that. That doesn't mean I would gonna vote for it. That is what is actually wrongly put in. People hope that.